Welcome. We're glad that you're joining us today in our continuing series of virtual services at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Stockton. We're glad you're here and hope that you will find here what you are seeking. We are a community of individuals holding many different beliefs, coming from many different places, and each progressing on our own journeys of life and faith. We join together in our commitment to care for humanity and to shape a better, healthier, more hopeful world. We promise to accept and encourage all those persons of goodwill who gather here, recognizing that we all continue to learn and grow throughout our lifetimes. We especially welcome and stand with LGBTQ persons, even as we seek to welcome all persons of every age, ability, status, and shade of skin. We strive to make our community a place of peace and acceptance, love and nurture, even as we challenge ourselves and others to live more faithfully according to the values of Unitarian Universalism.
Hi, I'm Sam Allen, and I'll be your worship associate today. These are strange times indeed which we are currently living through. Times unknown for at least a century, times more challenging for the immediacy of our expectations. Our lives have been time and deadline oriented, everything expected upon its deadline, delivery upon demand, no waiting, no patience for delay. And suddenly, it is as if the earth said, slow down, take a break, stay home for a while. But time is money, and the economy needs its frontline workers working. So many of us stay home while others try to venture out to try to keep things moving. We light our chalice in honor of frontline workers who are doing their best to keep things going in these strange times.
My life flows on an endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, the far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from
At this time, I invite you to virtually greet those who you might see in this church and any of those who you'd like to see or invite. Now join in the words of affirmation, usually shared between children and adults. We believe in love. Love is the only doctrine of this church. We believe in truth. The quest for truth is our sacrament. We believe in helping others, and service is our prayer. We believe in the sacredness of life. To dwell together in peace, seek knowledge and freedom, serve humanity in fellowship, and cherish the earth and its creatures. This do we covenant, each with the other.
Words of affirmation. We believe in love. Love is the only doctrine of this church. We believe in truth. The quest for truth is our sacrament. We believe in helping others, and service is our prayer. We believe in the sacredness of life. To dwell together in peace, seek knowledge in freedom, serve humanity in fellowship, and cherish the earth and its creatures. This do we covenant with each other.
And now for the story for all ages. The Sloth Who Slowed Us Down by Margaret Wilde and illustrated by Vivienne Toe. Amy's family was the speediest family in the world. They walked fast, they drove fast, they shopped fast, and there was never any time to talk or play or laugh or laze. Until the afternoon, Amy brought a sloth home to stay. "Where on earth did you find him?" Dad asked. "Hanging from a tree in the park," Amy said, plucking one beetle and 2 moths from her fur. Mom shuddered. "He needs a bath," she said. Sloth shook his head very slowly, because sloths do everything slowly. "Right away," said Mom. "I have to warn you, Sloth," Amy whispered. "We are the fastest family in the entire world." Sloth had a long, leisurely bath with lots of bubbles, a purple duck, and a red boat. Sloth dried himself slowly, combed his fur slowly, admired himself in the mirror, and then crawled down the stairs for dinner. Amy, Mom, and Dad were already sitting at the table. "Hurry up, buddy," said Dad. "Chop, chop," said Mom. "See what I mean, Sloth?" Amy said with a sigh. Sloth ate very, very slowly. He was so slow that Amy had plenty of time to talk about the things that had happened that day, like a lemonade stand and crossing a finish line and winning number 1 in a competition and swinging. "How amazing," said Mom. "I wish I'd been there," said Dad. When Sloth had finished helping very slowly to do the dishes, Dad said, "There's just enough time for a quick around the block before bedtime." But Sloth couldn't trot. He dragged himself along very, very slowly. So slowly that Amy and Mom and Dad had plenty of time to chat with the neighbors, pet a cat, throw a stick for a friendly dog, admire the moon, and try to find the red star. When they got home, Sloth made himself comfortable hanging from a tree in the garden. Amy hugged him good night. "Thank you," she whispered. "This has been the best day of my life." Sloth stayed for 3 glorious weeks. And look at everything that they did with Sloth. But one morning, Sloth moved next door to the new speediest family in the world. "I'll miss him," Dad said. "He's such a restful little fellow." "He'll hate it there," Mom said. "That family's in always such a rush. They walk fast, drive fast, shop fast, eat fast." "Oh, Sloth will change all that," Amy said. And he did, very, very slowly. I think that's the end. Yep.
At this time in our service, we share the milestones in our lives by lighting candles of joy and concern. And I didn't receive any specific requests this week, but I invite us to keep in our thoughts and prayers all those who are suffering because of the COVID-19 virus. To remember all those who have been struggling with issues around police brutality. For all those who have suffered from issues around racism and the failure to accept Indigenous people. And for all the joys that we haven't been able to share together because we only meet virtually. One more for all those things that are in our thoughts and hearts but have gone unspoken. I invite us into a time of silent thought, prayer, and meditation.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Our responsive reading, number 444, in the Gray Hymnal, This House, by Kenneth L. Patton. This house is for the ingathering of nature and human nature. It is a house of friendships, a haven in trouble, a room open for the encouragement of our struggle. It is a house of freedom, guarding the dignity and worth of every person. It offers a platform for the free voice, for declaring, both in times of security and danger, the full and undivided conflict of opinion. It is a house of truth-seeking, where scientists can encourage devotion to their quest, where mystics can abide in a community of searchers. It is a house of art, adorning its celebrations with melodies and handiworks. It is a house of prophecy, outrunning times past and times present in visions of growth and progress. This house is a cradle for our dreams, the workshop of our common endeavor.
At this time in our service, we invite the sharing of gifts, offerings, and pledges. And since we're in a virtual mode, I invite you to send any gifts you'd like to make to our church office, 2737 Pacific Avenue, Stockton, California, 95204. Thank you. This year. The reports of how the infection is spreading are clearly targeting family parties and gatherings now, as well as the risks in restaurants and bars. Too many people are ignoring the risks in order to attend parties without masks or without social distancing, and it is taking a toll. The drive-by celebrations that particularly became popular during graduation season this year are certainly an interesting and safer alternative to in-person gatherings. In some cases, they have become private parades, celebrating whatever event is at their focus, with decorated trucks, cars, and even floats. One nearby even had a dinosaur. Especially for celebrating birthdays of elderly friends and relatives, the drive-by celebrations are fitting. Graduations, 50th anniversaries, 100th birthdays, and young children's birthdays are particularly hard to miss because they only happen once and really ought to be recognized. Drive-by parties with gifts or cards can help to replace the in-person parties that we are missing. Breaking the rules of the quarantine to celebrate with family members may seem safe enough until somebody tests positive after the gathering. It is hard to miss those special events in the lives of relatives and friends, but who else are we putting at risk when we go? It really doesn't help to have the president not take the pandemic seriously, advocating reopening things for the sake of the economy and insisting schools must reopen. At least he isn't calling it a hoax anymore. Most of us haven't had to give up very much in our lifetimes. The wartime shortages and restrictions of the world wars were no longer in effect during the Korean or Vietnam Wars or during other more recent conflicts. Many of our families were not wealthy, but few of us missed out on very much. Over the past 4 months and for the foreseeable future, we have been and will be missing out on quite a bit in order to get past the current pandemic. These are not ordinary times, and we need to take this quarantine seriously if we really want to let this virus burn itself out. The treatments and vaccines which are being created will certainly help, but they're not ready yet. As some recent commercials have told us, the bravest, most honorable thing sometimes is to stay home and watch TV. Now that the baseball season has started, there are at least a few more choices of things to watch. The Cubs are off to a reasonably good start, and in many years they would have been far better off to stop after about 60 games anyway. It is more than a bit strange to see the absence of fans at the games, though. Extroverts are having a rougher time of it than those of us who are more introverted. I actually am enjoying having a little more time to read, but I am missing the chance to go to a restaurant once or twice a week and to actually be with people. I miss singing with the choir and chatting with people during coffee hour, and I miss at least some of the in-person meetings. In the 4 months past and 5 months coming in which we plan to stay closed under the quarantine, we will have missed quite a few parties and events, times with people we can never get back. But this may be the only way to really get rid of COVID-19. In our lifetimes, we had become accustomed to going anywhere we want, anytime we want to go. If we could afford the airfare and get the time off work, or for closer trips, if we had a dependable car, we could really go just about anywhere in the world with very little planning. Back a little over 100 years ago, when the so-called Spanish flu hit, travel took more time, effort, money, and planning. People were not accustomed to making cross-country trips, let alone traveling around the globe. With modern cars, it's nothing for me to throw a few things in the car and drive to Phoenix to see my kids and grandkids until COVID-19 hit. Now I am cautiously hoping that I will be able to get there at least by Christmas break, but I'm not sure it will be safe even then. I've never been as good as I like at writing letters or sending cards or making regular phone calls, things that earlier generations routinely accomplished. I do send texts and emails pretty regularly, but suddenly in this new world, that doesn't seem enough. In recent years, I had become so accustomed to just hopping in the car and going places, it seems really strange to be staying home, missing the birthday parties and all the other events of life. Till at least the middle of the last century, birthdays and anniversaries and even Christmas were not such big events. But over the years, the gifts have increased in quantity, quality, and cost. Expectations for grandparents, not only to send gifts, but to visit, have significantly increased. Even a few decades ago, we would not have been used to going to so many events, but now that we are, it feels like a bigger loss to miss them. Of course, young grandchildren had gotten a good bit of attention even earlier, especially babies, but everything seems harder to miss now. Doctors and scientists are telling us that staying away from gatherings, keeping social distance, and wearing masks will make a difference, but we are impatient. We expected even bigger results from the few weeks when we were staying home, avoiding people, and wearing masks. We wanted to believe that we had done all that we needed to when the president and other leaders started calling for reopening the economy. Unfortunately, that only restarted the worst of the infection, and the pandemic continues worse than ever. Many of us are high risk ourselves, but the thought of passing COVID-19 to others is really horrible. Hard as it is to miss a few months of parties and events, it would be harder to lose friends and relatives whom we love. The idea of quarantine dates from at least biblical times for lepers and demons, but was especially practiced to prevent the spread of plague in the Middle Ages and more recently. The U.S. agency currently charged with determining the need for and maintaining quarantines is the CDC, Centers for Disease Control. Naturally, now that the president has ordered reports to no longer be sent to the CDC, it is unclear who will actually monitor the quarantine or make information available to those in need. But I'm sure he'll tweet anything we need to know, though. I do understand that for many people, the economy may be more important than a few old people or children, but I'm sorry to see so many people losing their businesses. Each life is important, and mass sacrifices to ensure profitability of large corporations and banks really trouble me. It also troubles me to hear senators taking away the level of financial supports that have helped families survive so far. Why can't they see the need for a living wage for essential workers, for everyone? Clearly, they speak from the mindset of profit and wealth rather than care for persons. Even Walmart has been giving workers bonuses, though they aren't enough. The cutthroat capitalism practiced in this country requires workers to be paid at the lowest wages possible with the fewest benefits, and then it exports jobs to places where workers get pennies on the dollar. Low-wage workers are not protected with health care, and the requirements for unemployment are onerous. But the economy depends upon millions of these minimum wage essential workers, or corporations and their owners aren't satisfied. Small businesses are too often over-leveraged, so they are never far from the edge of bankruptcy, but somehow the banks seem to do just fine whatever happens. Too many of the safeguards that protected ordinary people have again been taken away to free the banks and corporations to stick it to the rest of us. But I'm ranting. People have been encouraged to go to work, to get out and shop, to ignore the risks to life and limb for the sake of the economy. So parties and bars and events are looking more and more tempting. How many deaths are too many? We've now passed 150,000 deaths in this country, along with millions otherwise affected by COVID-19. Skipping a few parties and events doesn't really seem that high a price to pay to prevent more infections and deaths. Small children and mentally impaired persons may not understand why we aren't at their parties, but in times like this, it is more important to protect them and ourselves and others. Hopefully by next year, we will make it to all the parties. Till then, we will stay home, keep a safe distance, and wear masks for the safety of our family and friends, our congregation, the broader community as well. Tempting as they may be, the risks at this point really are too great. So friends, walk the dogs, get some exercise alone or with household members, keep masks handy, if not on your face, and keep those couches from being snatched by aliens. Be safe. Shalom, salam, blessed be, namaste, and amen.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
As we close this service, I invite you to virtually join hands with those who would be here and those you'd like to invite. We share the proposition that behind all our differences, beneath all our diversity, there's a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together, in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause in silent witness to that unity. May the stars carry your sadness away. May the flowers fill your heart with beauty. May hope forever wipe away your tears. And above all, may love make you strong. Stay home, be at peace, be well. Amen.